This is Sports 225 with Lee Feinswag. Sports 225 with Lee Feinswag is Baton Rouge's longest running and best television show. Who would have believed that?
My best friend, Lee Feinswag, look at the Christmas.
Sports 225 is brought to you by Breck. Remember, it all starts at Breck. Now, your host, Lee Feinswag.
Oh, it's Sports 225. Steve Schneider, the sports director from WAFB, is here. He's been coming on this show since we started the old Sports Monday 23 years ago, which was, God, not even half our ages ago, but that's a whole nother story. And we've been together for the last couple hours, hanging out, having a meal, solving all the problems of the world, or at least complaining about them. So thanks for watching. We're going home now. I was thinking in the warm-up, wait, what didn't we cover in the last hour? Yeah. You know, well, it's football season, of course, and you had the good fortune of seeing a couple of football games last weekend, and you know, a rarity for you actually in your job these days.
It is, because we do the 9 Sports Extra show now on Saturday nights. It's you know, an hour newscast. Sports does probably 45 minutes of that show, and so you know, I try to get to games when I can, but if both teams are playing at night, whether they're in town or out of town, it's tough to get out to the stadium for much football. So it was a treat for me to be able to be in New Orleans on Saturday. Of course, with LSU starting so late, we're going to do our first show this coming Saturday on 9/9 on 9. And the Southern game was on Sunday, so I got to go to a good part of that as well. And 2 wins, you know, defensive struggles, not a lot of pop to them, but certainly successes is what you want to see. You don't want to start with a loss in either one of those games.
It was kind of cool for Southern to be on national TV for the first game at Southern University on a relatively nice day as well.
Absolutely. You know, it's there's so many games on TV now. You know, I don't know what kind of impact that actually has because there's so much TV and so many games. But
well, speaking of which, because it's like blurring, were they on the Deuce?
They were on ESPN too, which is, you know, one slot over from the main channel.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, and you know, was on campus. I think they said there were 10,000 people there. There were probably another couple thousand on campus, kind of just hanging out, tailgating. It was a nice day, and you know, in the end, the offense did just enough. You know, without having Leonard Tillery and Willie Quinn, I think their offense is going to struggle some. They've tried to, you know, say, well, we've got playmakers, but you know, the defense is probably going to be the key to this season for them, and they did enough against a traditional running team to win 14-8. So,
you made me think when you said, you know, one over from the beginning. So this is a chance for Steve to tell an old guy story. So when ESPN cranked up in the formative years was when Tim Brando worked for you and got to go to, he hooked up with ESPN and was doing anything and everything that he could, some of the worst assignments imaginable. You know, I always joke with him about like karate on ice skates and canoes, you know, and he would cover it. But could you have ever imagined when that first started that you would now be able to watch every sport? I mean, you can watch volleyball, water polo, all the football games, not only on the ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN News, etc., but on the Watch ESPN app through Apple TV or just on your phone. It's unbelievable.
Well, before the proliferation of SportsCenter, and by the way, Tim and John Saunders were the first anchor team on SportsCenter, but Tim didn't stay with that, and it was obviously not what it's grown into. I remember being in college when ESPN first started doing football, and you could watch a football game all day long, every day, right? Like they'd have some live games, but then they'd have football on all week. It was not a lot of news. It was mostly just game after game after game.
Right.
And back in those days, you didn't have access to any game anywhere on the planet, okay? So you'd watch Pac-12 and Big 12, CFL. There was always football on during football season, so it's evolved quite a bit over the years from that, right?
And the good old days when you could watch SportsCenter at 10 p.m. and the same SportsCenter would revolve all day until about 9 in the morning, and then something new would happen.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But and I was not Tim's boss for very long. Okay, he brought me in to Channel 9 as the third person.
Right.
Within a year, I became sports director, but I was not the main on-air person. I was just the guy who kind of behind the scenes lined everything up and tried to create a lot of new things for us to do. But you're right. I owe him a lot of my anchoring experience came because he was trying to become that network play-by-play guy, which obviously he achieved within 2 years. 85 and 86, he was doing that, and I was filling in for him. And by 87, he was gone, and the rest is history. Did ESPN for 10 years, did CBS Sports, and now is at Fox Sports. So he's hit all 3 major networks, right?
Which brings us full circle to the next thing. So Tim Brando really wanted to be on the SEC network and be their lead guy. Didn't get that.
And I think he should have gotten it.
No doubt.
Brent Musburger, but Tim has grown up in the South, has covered Southern football his whole life.
No doubt.
Yeah.
But so he's with Fox doing Pac-12, and his analyst is his buddy from CBS, Spencer Tillman. He's a former player, and the two of them do games together.
Did the Saints preseason? They've done have a lot of time together. Yeah.
And this week they are joined by
next week. Yeah, September 16th, they're going to do a game at Nebraska with Ben Miles' dad, right? Ben Miles is on Nebraska's team from Catholic High, and Les Miles will get a chance in his first analyst work for a game to do the Nebraska-Northern Illinois game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Tim will be doing play-by-play. So.
And I will tell you, just out of curiosity, much the way you rubberneck on an interstate when you see a wreck. I was going to say train wreck, but car wreck. I'll probably watch that at least just to hear what Les has to say. And if Tim, who has been most critical of him the last 5 years, how that all works out.
Yeah, well, I don't think he'll be critical of his analyst work.
I hope not.
Right? I think that Les will have a lot to add, not just to Nebraska and Big Ten football, but to college football in general. So we'll see. It is an interesting combination. Not anything I saw coming, that's for sure.
He is Steve Schneider. He's the sports director at WAFB. Channel 9, they call it, but that really is a misnomer. It's the CBS affiliate. It's great how, we go back to what they were called in the 50s. But anyway, watch his stuff and watch this show, and we'll be right back. I'm Lee Feinswag at Sports 225.
Hi, I'm Joe Martin, president of ITI Technical College, and we are so excited to have been awarded Forbes magazine's top 30 two-year technical colleges in America. To achieve this award, ITI was recognized for our high scores in 1, earnings of our graduates, 2, quality of education, and 3, affordability. To learn more, we invite you to visit our campus or go online. ITI Technical College. Begin your journey to a better life.
All right, we're back on Sports 225. It's football season. Steve Schneider's here. He's the sports director for WAFB. He, of course, covers everything and anything about sports in this area, but including LSU football, Southern football, and a ton of prep stuff. So before we talk about LSU football, Sportsline Friday night is in its 87th year?
28th year.
God, is that amazing?
It's pretty cool, honestly. Started in 1990, and we're in our 28th year. And I was telling you when we were visiting this morning, we've actually started making the footage from all those years and even years before Sportsline available online. We've started a Sportsline Friday night, Throwback Thursday. And I knew this was going to be big. I didn't know when we were going to get around to doing it or how we were going to do it. But I just checked a minute ago. We have 50,000 views.
This is on Facebook, through Facebook, and then on the line?
The WAFB Facebook page.
Right.
I think it's all tied together, but
Yeah.
I just checked it on our WAFB Facebook page. In 1980, my predecessor, Chuck Paradan, who worked with Jay Townsend before I came in, went out to Broadmoor High School. Every guy on the team shaved their head in 1980 before the Central game. And the motivational ploy got them a victory over Central. But he did a story on basically letting those guys talk about why they did it. And one of the guys looks in the camera and says, if you have any guts, you'll shave your head. Everybody in the state of Louisiana should shave their head before their next game. and it has 50,000 views within a few days. And
That's amazing.
And the cool thing is it's not just the people watch it. The cool thing for me is all the people who are being reconnected to that time and that day in their life, and reconnecting friendships and relationships because they're on there. And when somebody sees it, they recognize people and they tag those people, and those people are drawn in, and then the conversation is, who was this person? I mean, the first one we did was a St. James Brobridge playoff game. Okay, you had Corey Webster was the quarterback for St. James, and Dominic Davis was the star for Brobridge, and they went back and forth, and they both ended up playing for LSU and helping them go to the national championship. But to see the conversations back and forth, a lot of those guys haven't played football since 1997, 1998, 1999. So you think about that, those guys are now pushing 40.
Yeah, well,
haven't been on the football field in more than 20 years, and yet they're remembering their coaches and what happened in the game, and it's really cool to see the conversations that go back and forth.
Were there any guys who came out of that particular game, the Central Broadmoor game, who were?
It's a little before my time. I was in Baton Rouge. I started sportscasting in '79, so
Okay.
This is my 39th year. As I said, it's the 28th year of Sportsline. But I really wasn't that aware of high school. I mean, I did some high school games on the radio, but I was basically at LSU doing LSU and the Saints. Hadn't really gotten into Southern University and high school sports till I got to Channel 9. But yeah, I honestly couldn't answer that. I don't know. There probably were some guys definitely who played college football. Now, whether anything beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah, well, Sportsline Friday night is not only a fun show to watch, and it's evolved because now you can, with the technology available, you can get highlights from so many places so quickly. I mean, when they first started that, you got to remember, there were no cell phones. You couldn't just send instant videos. It required a major operation to be able to collect everything.
That's right.
Now it's so bang, bang, bang. But it's also in an era. So I watch the news. Okay, I go watch the WAFB evening news, and I'll watch the nightly news on CBS or whatever. And all of the commercials are geared for people who are even older than me and all the ailments. And I'm thinking, all right, they're trying to tell me something here. Luckily, I don't need all those drugs, but you should know that you could die from taking half of them. But geez, that's another story. Anyway, Sportsline and Cover Up Prep coverage of prep football is a great connector for the medium to stay in with the young people who traditionally now don't have the cable to watch this show or don't watch those news shows, but they're watching themselves on TV because of football.
Well, there's no question. It keeps us young for starters, because you are connected with the high school kids.
Yeah, let me just jump in there.
Many of them, their parents I covered, right?
Yeah, but but they also pay attention to the crowds and the cheerleaders and the people there in addition to the football. So I think that's all part of the big picture.
Absolutely do. And look, when I was their age, I didn't watch the news.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't even get into this to do the news. I got into this thinking I was going to be a play-by-play announcer, call the games live, much like Tim has done most of his career. That's why I got into this. It just so happened that I ended up, accepting a position that took me in a different direction, and I don't regret that one bit. I've had a blast doing it. But yeah, it's the one show. We used to do a show called Sportsline Overtime, and it was for all the other sports besides football, because I wasn't a football player past the 5th grade. I played basketball, and I want to see all the sports get coverage. But that show became outdated because football is, you go shoot the games on Friday night and you get them immediately to the air. That's the cool thing about it. People want to rush home and see it, because even if there is social media and some snippets here, we bring it all together in a package in short order. The other show that we were doing, which was very popular, it had higher ratings than Saturday Night Live when it aired on a Saturday night at 10:30, but it was outdated because with the digital realm exploding, you can't sit on video from a Monday softball game or a Thursday, baseball game and present it on Saturday. So that one did go by the boards, but again, the football thing I think is going to be around to stay. It's the 28th year. The ratings are as good as they've ever been. And I think it's because of the nature of football. It's that Friday night, those 2 or 3 hours, you play your game, you immediately, and of course you can get it on your phone now. You don't have to get to, most of the schools set up televisions and people watch. Big Mike's in Denham Springs gave us a shout out on Bar Rescue not too long ago, but you can get it on your phone. Like, you can be riding home from a road game, and when the show's on, you can be watching it while you're riding home. So it's all about distribution, right? The delivery of the content.
Remarkable. We're way over for this segment, but it was good stuff. Back in the old days with Steve Schneider. All right, I'm Lee Feinswag. It's Sports 225. We'll be right back.
Don't let the bed bugs bite you. We'll put them to sleep.
Bed bugs can be transported from most anywhere. Hotels, department stores, even a friend's house.
We've got the bead on bed bugs. Call the bug man today.
Call 923-BUGS.
Wide shot music, and here we go. All right, we're back on Sports 225. We'll step into current events and stop telling old guy stories now. Steve Schneider's here. He's the sports director for WAFB. And did you have a seat in the press box at the New Orleans Superdome the other day?
I was forced to be in the press box, honestly. I would have preferred to be on the field. I like watching the games from the field. Like at the Southern game, I walked in the gate and watched the game right there on the field.
They wouldn't let you walk the sidelines?
No, they wouldn't even let us be on the sideline for pregame. Like we did one live shot, and then they said, you got to go. Your credential only allows you in the press box. I wanted to be on the field to see warm-ups, see the players that were there, the ones that were filling in for the ones that were missing. But no, the credential, it's very specific. If you don't carry a camera and shoot, they don't want you on the sideline. So I was booted upstairs.
Don't they know who you are? I had the opposite problem once. One year, I don't know, 97 or 98, LSU went to Florida. So I'd gotten out of the newspaper business. I was doing my time in radio. And they wouldn't let me in the press box.
Yeah.
I said, wait, what do you mean? So I had to walk the sidelines the whole time. And that was really a bizarre thing because, number one, it was really hot and sunny. It was I sweated a bunch.
Right.
And at the University of Florida, I don't know, the acoustics are such that it's maybe the loudest place I've ever been in, just because of the way the sound bounces around and the odd configuration of the stadium.
Right.
And that was thoroughly strange. But no, what I was going was in the Superdome. If you probably have not been in the press box there, but the little postage stamp where they play football way down below because they moved it.
When they reconfigured it, they put it way up, and it's also very cold when there's only 50,000 people in the stands. They put on the air conditioner for 70,000, thinking that body heat will neutralize it, and it was very brisk, let's say. But no, I'd much rather be on the sideline because in this day and age now, the stadium displays all the stats on the big screen.
Yeah.
I don't have to look at my phone or a tablet to get current stats. You can read them right off the board, and you're just closer to the action, can see more of what you're looking to see. If you want to study the game, you got to bring a pair of binoculars to see who's playing the line and what they're doing. And so, but like I said before, the fact that we do the Saturday night show, I don't get to go to that many games. I made a point to go to the bowl game. I made a point to go to the game Saturday because you need to be there and see some of these things in person and not just always watch them on TV.
Well, since you were watching in person, and of course you had the TVs for the monitors for the replays, what did you draw out of LSU's victory over BYU?
It didn't really surprise me much. We did a little Facebook Live before the game. I said I thought it would be 27-10. It was 27-0, and the only thing that I probably was a little surprised is how well the LSU defense played, although we shouldn't be that surprised because Dave Aranda's a genius and a really good teacher, and they've got a lot of talent no matter whether the starters play or the backups play. So I was a little bit surprised that they were that dominant with a lot of backups playing. I know LSU is going to tout this as the most freshmen they've ever played, in a season, in a game or whatever, which is kind of slanting it. It's because you had all these guys suspended. But yeah, it was about what I expected, okay? All the shifts in motion and everything, to me, is not a big deal. I want to see a game where they use 10% of the offense. I want to see a game where they're challenged and have to use 100% of the playbook. And then we'll see, and who knows, that could be the Auburn game, maybe the Florida game in Gainesville before we really see them having to throw the kitchen sink in there.
I predicted them to win their first 5 games going into that 6th game at Florida, which is the make or break, and I think in so many ways. But I don't know, this idea that people use terms like it was vanilla, they didn't show everything. I mean, I don't know how much more is there to show.
Well, the passing game is
is very efficient.
Right. But against a good defense on a 3rd and long, when the guys that you're playing against, get up the field and get in the quarterback's face, hit the quarterback, those are the kind of plays you'll have to make to win the championships. So that's, but you didn't expect to see that in this game, right? BYU's got a solid, middle of the road club, but there was not any question that LSU was going to win. It was just going to be like, how are they going to win? Who was going to stand? I almost compared it to like a preseason game. Like you really weren't watching to see who was going to win and who was going to lose. You were watching to see certain players and how they were going to perform in their role. That's kind of how I viewed it. So, you know, we learned a few things, I think. Obviously, Darius Geis needs to get the ball. This whole season, you know, he has to be healthy and he has to play his best every week.
There you go. Football analyst Steve Schneider.
Really
Anyway,
complicated stuff.
You know. All right, we got a little bit of time left in this show. We'll take this break and be right back. I'm Lee Feinswag at Sports 225.
See that dog lover? About to unleash the terror hound on these friendly, unsuspecting canines? Well, I'm the human dislike button, and I see it too. Easy there, Cujo. Taking part in a dog socialization program at a shelter or pet store can help nip this problem in the bud. And no matter how well socialized your pet is, cleaning up the little rays of sunshine they leave in their merry wake is your responsibility. To learn more about me, go to breck.org/HDB.
Coming down the home stretch of another Sports 225, Steve Schneider's here. He's the sports director at WAFB. Go to sports225.com to watch every old show. We archive them all on the Sports 225 TV YouTube channel. It also has the show times when you can watch on Cox 4 and on CST. Thanks to JCW for directing the show and for you for watching, because I'll forget to say all that stuff later. And there you go. So one of the advantages of not being at that football game was, of course, being able to watch on television, having multiple TVs on, which I did.
That's right.
Watching Florida State, Alabama. Ooh, that was not for the timid. And Alabama lost 2 linebackers. Florida State lost its quarterback. And I don't know to what degree that's going to affect the national picture, but Alabama looked really good.
It's almost unheard of to have 2 teams that good play in a season opening game, which obviously got a lot of attention and viewers like yourself. But yeah, it's big boy football, and most teams, most programs don't want to risk the health of their team in a game like that early, because it's not a conference game. It's not going to get Alabama to Atlanta. It's not going to get Florida State to wherever the ACC championship game is this year. So, but you know, Jimbo and Nick have some history. They're 2 household names, and you know, that's what all of this is these days. It's ESPN putting together.
Well, that game was way more interesting than the LSU game.
Of course it was.
But yeah, of course, for those of you who don't know this, I can't imagine you wouldn't, but when Nick Saban was the head football coach at LSU, Jimbo Fisher was his offensive coordinator. Then did Jimbo go with him?
Jimbo stayed with Les for a couple of years.
Right, because it was Will Muschamp who went. Did he
Matter
Will
of
go
fact,
down
that
to
famous
Miami?
victory at Alabama, you know, Jimbo had a lot to do with, you know, Les obviously was the head coach and got the victory, but Jimbo had a lot to do with them pulling that game out and halftime lectures.
Did Will Muschamp go down to Miami to the Dolphins?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, because Will Muschamp was the defensive coordinator. Of course, he's the head coach at South Carolina now.
Derek Dooley went. Yep.
Derek Dooley used to live in my neighborhood. See him riding his bicycle now and then. Is he still in football?
Good question. Not sure.
We don't have time to look it up. Go to you can follow Steve on Twitter at Sports Director. And of course at WAFB.com. Their Facebook page has the things he was talking about. Check them all out, and it's fun to catch up.
Absolutely.
Enjoyed our visits. And,
congratulations on episode number 211. 14 more to 225.
He read this sheet. All right, we're out of here. Thanks for watching Sports 225. We'll see you next week. And fade away.
At carnival time by Baton Rouge Bay, that's the site of my story. At Spanish Town Mardi Gras, things can get blurry. See the mowers marching, prizes fill the sky.